Yeah, we started.
Everyone. A very good evening to all the young innovators out there. We are extremely sorry for all the delay that had happened, but as we say, glitches and bugs are the part of innovation, and that's how our session started today. I welcome you all to the another thought-provoking session of Avishkar Talks. My name is Neha Dagar, and I am a curriculum designer at Avishkar. And I have to say this: working here has been my life-changing experience. And I'm sure by the end of the session, you will know exactly why I'm saying this. Avishkar Talks brings to you world-class entrepreneurs, builders, innovators, scientists to share their journey with children, parents, and educators, and also share their nuggets of wisdom on what it takes to create something new or solve a problem that hasn't been solved before. So, today we have with us Tarun Bhalla. Yes, he is a founder of Avishkar, an edtech company that is committed to build an army of young innovators and builders. Tarun is an absolute maker and who strongly believes making is better than consuming. And I can definitely say that he follows that blindly. It was this belief that led him to start Avishkar in India with the mission of creating an army of innovators, especially when no one hadn't heard about the term making. Yes, exactly. He had single handedly created the market for robotics and tinkering in the country. And his introduction cannot end if I don't talk about his forever support and what keeps him going in spite of all the challenges he faces to achieve his goals and building Avishkar. So his two beautiful daughters who keep him most excited and makes him an engaged father. His interest towards traveling, especially mountains, and he is a strong Vipassana meditator. It is going to be very interesting to know about his journey of not only building Avishkar, but also being a mentor and inspiration to so many young budding innovators. We are absolutely thrilled to have him here today with us and share his vision and experience to build such a community, and I must say, a much needed one in the world today. So, without a further delay, let's welcome him. Let's welcome him and hear from himself that how he built Avishar and what was his journey of innovation. So, Tarun, thank you for making time to be here today. Please tell us a little about your journey and building Avishkar, the highs, the lows that you have experienced, and what you have learned about innovation along the way.
Thank you, Neha. I really appreciate you taking our time and doing this session. I mean, before we delve deeply into the whole journey, I would like to personally thank you because this journey would not have been meaningful had it not had the support of you and the other teammates of Avishkar. Now, starting my journey of making Avishkar. Although I believe all life journeys that have purpose are equally important and relevant, the society around us, unfortunately, the society around us rewards those journeys more which have accomplished more. So, such is life. So, I will try to play by its rules. I'll first talk about what the Avishkar impact has been on the society, specifically Indian society. Avishkar has now, over its existence, produced and sold more than 100,000 robotics kits in India and around the world. Our products and solutions have impacted more than 200,000 students' lives, close to 10,000 students taking up careers in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We have set up more than 2,000 robotics and tinkering labs in the country. And we now export to more than 10 different countries outside of India, which includes the likes of America and UK. Avishkar League, which is also part of Avishkar, has also grown significantly over the last 10 years. And it has had participation from more than 100,000 students every year from every nook and corner of India. So that's been the impact of Avishkar. And today I'm here to talk about how we made all that possible.
Wow, Tarun, this is a tremendous impact that you have talked about that Avishkar has made. But how did it really start? Just tell us about a little about that too.
Well, Neha, like all entrepreneurial journeys or stories in the world, it started with a mix of unadulterated love. I repeat, unadulterated, which means pure form of love, a lot of challenges, and some freedom.
Love, challenge, and freedom. What do you mean by that, and how they are connected with Avishkar and your journey?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone would be asking that question. What has love to do with innovation? And if you ask me, this is one
Right.
question that a lot of people have pondered. People say, where does innovation come from? A lot of people who study economics or are older would say that innovation comes from competition. But I think the fundamental reason that innovation happens is because of love, or in other words, passion. So when I say love and unadulterated love, I know most of the people out here who are youngsters, they think of love as a unidirectional thing that one person have towards others. But really speaking, love is far more deeper than that. Love to me is what Sachin Tendulkar would have felt when he would have hit his century or the ball out of the ground. And whenever he would have heard that sound of the bat hitting the ball or the ball hitting the meat of the bat and the ball going out of the ground, that sound would have been addictive to him. So that is pure love for the craft that you have. It, I am sure, is the same love that Steve Jobs would have felt when he would have seen his products getting used by a majority of people across the world, and how people really revere or put the products in that kind of respect. That's what Steve Jobs would have felt. I am sure Steve Jobs earned a lot of things while building Apple. He would have loved the fact that he earned so much money, so much fame, so much name. But honestly speaking, nothing is compared or parallel to the love that he would have had to the idea that people are going to create some amazing things out of the products that he makes. So the same love, honestly, in my life, I felt very early. I was in grade 5. I was taking this particular, activity class in our times. It used to be called SUPW, and the class was for electronic gadgets. The idea was we would come in and we would make a lot of interesting projects in that class. Honestly speaking, nobody will probably believe me when I say, but I fell in love with the pugnacious, the repulsive, and the absolutely nauseating smell of soldering iron. A soldering iron melting the solder wire was something that I fell in love. And it was not really because of what kind of smell it produced or what kind of fragrance or bad smell that it produced. It was primarily because I was amazed with the fact that how, this melted iron could be connecting two different surfaces together, and electrons or the current can flow across them. I was amazed by the fact that you can actually end up creating products or ideas, or actual apparatus you could see, which gives life to the ideas that you have in your mind. So whatever I could dream, I could make, and that feeling was absolutely liberating and really made me fall in love with what I was doing. And it's that same love, if I could say, that I still have whenever we are thinking or dreaming about a new product that we are trying to make, or when I decide to make something new out of either a maker board or an Avishkar kit or out of tweak. It's the same unadulterated form of love that I feel, and that makes my life worth it.
Well, now the way you have put it, Tarun, it makes sense. True love and passion with one's goal is important. So, all the students out there, find your passion and pursue excellence in whatever you do, and innovations shall happen. I think that sums up what Tarun is trying to say here. Tarun, tell us more about you have talked about love and love here. Tell us more about challenge. What do you mean by challenge when you were talking about your story?
Absolutely, Neha. And to be honest, this is a tricky one for me. And I'll say why it's a tricky one for me. I am not the sort of guy who is going to chest beat and tell everyone in the world that this is what I have achieved. I am a guy who's most of the time has a lot of self doubts in place. In fact, when I drive my car, I think there is someone doubt is sitting next to me when I'm driving the car. So to be honest, for me to talk about challenges that boastfully, or talking about them in a bragging fashion, is something which is kind of scary, but I'll still talk about it. And but I would say deep inside, I enjoy the challenge that a situation throws at me. I would not like to talk about it, but that's how I feel now. There is a stoic saying that there is nothing more beautiful in life than a great man or a woman fighting his most adverse battles. Not that I am any great person, or I'm any special guy, but to be honest, I have fought some really tough battles. I mean, just to begin with, entrepreneurship or starting something new in India is challenging. In fact, if you add a hardware to that, then it is not for the faint of heart. Hardware throws up new challenges every day, now and then. But still, I would say I have always enjoyed the challenge of building hardware. Now, coming back to why, you know and since we have a lot of youngsters here who are watching, young innovators who are watching our channel today, so I will like to list down a couple of challenges that they might also face in their respective lives right now. So I was a young boy who wanted to make a robot for one science exhibition. I was in grade 9, and as innocent and as naive I was, I told it to my teacher. And again, this is a story which is relevant for all the people who are listening here. Unfortunately, this teacher was not as encouraging as a lot of people that you will find in your lives today. I grew up in a different time and era where, where being risky or being rebellious was not something that was looked upon. So this teacher made me stand in front of the whole class and very mockingly said, "Ye bhalla robot banayega." And it was heartbreaking. It was really, I felt bad about it and could not sleep for a couple of nights. I had two options in front of me. One option was, I kind of become disappointed and I decide to choose to leave, or rather choose to decide to live a life which is more submissive. And the second option was that I went ahead and did what I wanted to do and let my actions speak louder than my words. I am sure you must have realized by now that I chose the second option. So, needless to say, that I got a chance to basically win the first prize in that science exhibition. The project that I made was not a robot, but it was an automated respiratory system, and everyone was amazed by it, and everyone loved it. And from that time onwards, I have told myself, challenges are something that we will always find in our lives. I cannot wish away the challenges. And specifically when we are trying to do something which has not been done before, challenges are going to be there. So I have two options, either to bow down to challenges or to face them head on. And this is what my lesson or my, my message to everyone who is watching the channel today and hearing to the top. Challenges are going to be there. You can't avoid them. The only way you can respond to a challenge is either you run away or you see it through and knock the challenge down to the ground completely. So I would suggest go for this. And there's a fantastic saying that I like, and I kind of jokingly make fun of myself, which I say that I'm like that postage stamp, that postage stamp that sticks till the time the parcel or the box is delivered to its destination. So till the time each one of you have finished or knocked down the challenge that faces you, whether it is in your studies or in your personal life or your friends, till the time you take it to its logical end, don't rest, stick like a postage stamp. That saying has so much to teach all of us. I would say that have it written somewhere and follow it thoroughly. Neha, I hope that answers your question of challenges.
Definitely, Tarun, that do answer my question, and I hope our viewers and our young innovators who are watching us are also enjoying the and learning from what you are sharing with them. So again, the next question that I would want to you, it seems a little stupid, and I know you must have I know a quite answer of that, but still, for the people and for the young innovators out there who are listening to you, for them, what are the different kind of challenges? And I mean, you definitely have had, but challenges that you have faced or experienced while building Avishkar. So can you talk about them a little?
No, absolutely. There was not one challenge, but many. I can talk about dozens of challenges that we face day in and day out. As a matter of fact, every 2 months, there is a big challenge. But every 6 months, there is an existential crisis. A crisis where we would say, would Avishkar exist further or not? Or would Avishkar cease to exist? So that's the nature of doing anything meaningful. Anything meaningful you do, which has not been done before, honestly, you will be thrown a huge chunk of challenges. So I'll just say that when you embark on any ambitious journey, always assume that challenges are bound to happen and think of them as must haves. If you do not have those challenges, you will not be able to grow in your chosen field. So here's the message to all the young ones. If you are facing challenges in your path of innovation, consider those as stepping stones to something greater and bigger in life. Something fantastic in life is waiting for you. As they say, there's a beautiful quote: difficult paths lead to beautiful destinations. I repeat again myself, difficult paths lead to beautiful destinations. So if your path is difficult, your destination is definitely going to be beautiful.
That is so true, Tarun. I completely agree with you. And that's definitely a very interesting way to look at the problems and the challenges that we face in our life. So the third thing that you talked about earlier after love and the challenges is freedom. What do you want to say about that? And how do you relate it to your journey and, want to tell to our innovators there?
I think, thank you, Neha, first of all. I mean, see, love and challenges and how do you negotiate challenges is something which is intrinsic to an individual. So anyone who takes up any new task, these are intrinsic qualities to them. But freedom is something that we get from the environment that we are in. And unfortunately, although freedom is the most critical aspect, but it is also the most underrated aspect of any person doing anything in life. One can do amazing thing when one is a child. I mean, I tell you why. As a child, you don't care about the rest of the world. You don't care about what the others are thinking about me. And most likely, most of the people around you also don't care about you. It's only when you start growing up that people start taking notice of what you are doing, how you're dressed up, what are the things that you are saying. As a kid, nobody's paying attention. And that's why kids are fearless. So somehow, if there is a way for all of you, and this is probably more true for parents here, but as children, as young innovators, if there is a way that you can grow up, but not let the child inside you die, not let that fearless child in you who doesn't care or who gives two hoots to the world, or it doesn't care about how the world thinks about you. If you don't care about that, if you have that freedom, then you can do fantastic, unbelievable, incredible things. And in my case, I have to thank my father for providing me this freedom a dozen load. I'll tell you two or three instances, and each one of them has been defining in my life. So when I was in grade 12, and when I was in grade 12, the biggest thing which I feel is today also true was getting admission into a good engineering college. I was preparing for my entrance examination and I was under tremendous amount of stress. So what had happened was, my best friend Manu Bansal had got through some of the best colleges that the country has to offer, and I was still struggling. I was under tremendous amount of stress. I felt so bad, depressed. But one day my father would just, every now and then he will walk into my room and casually mention this. In his style, कहीं admission हुआ तो बहुत अच्छा और नहीं हुआ तो और भी अच्छा. This is a very simple statement that my father made. Admission हुआ तो अच्छा, नहीं हुआ तो और भी अच्छा. Now this had a tremendous impact on my psychology. So I was free from the burden of expectations completely. I could get in the entrance examinations and I could not. It was totally my call. No one to blame and no one to be answerable to. So it was a true, what I could say that it was truly, liberating for me, or truly allowed me to manifest who I was or express myself in the way I wanted to. The second time when I was, was also a very, very strange incident. I would say a shocking incident to all of you who are listening to this. I have a confession to make. I was actually fired from my first job. The first company that I joined, I was fired from that. And, believe me, that was not a good experience. I was a reasonably good student who had good grades. So I always felt that, I'm fairly smart. I can do well in life. And I was doing okay in my job also. It's just that I would never listen to my boss when he wanted me to do a lot of the menial work. I wanted him to give me more innovative work. And, I think he was not happy with my attitude. And the first instance that he found, he just let me go. It was heartbreaking at that time. Believe me, I felt so bad. I felt I've let myself down. I felt that I've let my teachers down. And more importantly, I've left the whole Bhalla clan or my parents down. And it was difficult for me to come to home that day. But I mustered some courage and I called up my father and my mother and I told them, this has happened. And they said, don't worry, come to home. And I came to home. I felt so bad. I just, wanted to sleep in my couch or rather in my bed and not talk to anyone else. So what did I do next day? My father very casually came in the morning to my room and said, hey, here are the 3 projects that I have for you. Now do whatever you want to do with them. And here's the stipend that I can offer to you. So small thing, the stipend was probably half the salary. But what he did to me was he took the fear of failure away from me. And that was, again, a fantastic way of telling me that you are free to pursue and slog out the way you want. On hindsight, I can say that, okay, my father, was probably not even thinking what he was doing, but he was a smart businessman. He knew what he was doing. He was offering me encouragement, but at the same time, he was also watching my actions. So I am sure if I had not worked hard after getting fired from a job or after not getting clear entry into any entrance examination, I'm sure his way of dealing with me would have been different. But he knew that I was giving my best effort. So he didn't need to put any more pressure on me. So to all the parents who are here, if your child is doing a fantastic job, then there is no reason to give pressure to them. But in case if there is something that you need to push them on, yes, you can push them around. You can give them freedom. You can be casual with them, but maintain a balance. And to you as well, all the young innovators, you have to do the same. So that's about freedom from my end, and it has played a tremendous role in my life ever since. I have a couplet for this for everyone who is listening to me. It's in Urdu. It says, "Ik tifl nazar hi to mili hai." Ik tifl nazar hi to mili hai, which means that it's only your freedom that you have. So why should I look? That is your viewpoint. Why should I look? ये दुनिया देखें क्यों किसी और की नजर से? So why should we look at this whole world with someone else's eyes? With that, I would say be free, be crazy, do incredible things. And with that, I would say, Neha, that's mostly the three things that I think I have to offer in terms of my journey.
Wow, Tarun, that's absolutely, I agree, and that's absolutely right. I also believe that this is what we have to indulge in the kids today. So, the thing that you have said about freedom and the way you have experienced it in your life with your father, that is something, very, very interesting and motivating. And I'm sure our children, our viewers are also liking, getting motivated by your story. And of course, I have taken note of all that you have said. And because I myself is a parent and relatively a new one, of course, I am sure following this will make me also a strong mother. So moving ahead, so before moving ahead, I would like to say all to all the viewers who are live with us now, if you have any questions to ask from Tarun, just type it in the live chat below and we will take up your question, just after a few more questions that I have with Tarun. Tarun, going ahead, my next question from you is, what is your advice to the today's parents, teachers, and the school in terms of scenario going on in the world today related to education? So everything is shifting to the online and virtual world. That is what I meant, and also how they can help children to be prepared for the future in this rapidly growing world of automation and getting everything online, learning, and things like that. So, what's your advice and say on this?
Absolutely, Neha. Neha, I know this is a question which is going in everyone's mind, and specifically with what is happening around us in terms of COVID and an increased bit of automation, and further how technology has penetrated or infiltrated all aspects of our lives. This is a question I am sure everyone has, every parent, every thinking parent has on their minds. So first of all, I would say, work on those three things. I mean, again, I can speak from my experience. You have to build resilience in your children. So when I say resilience, I mean, they need to have the emotional intelligence to knock down or negotiate a lot of challenges that they are bound to face in their lives. Second is you have to give them freedom. You have to trust them. You have to let them fail, fall, whichever way. And finally, of course, let them develop a tremendous passion and love for what they want to do. So apart from challenges, freedom, and love, I would make a case for adding one more skill set, not many, just one more, to your child. And that is of a very different kind of AQ. So what I mean by AQ, for me, this is called adaptability quotient. So I am sure you must have heard of IQ, which is intelligent quotient. You must have heard of EQ also, which is emotional quotient. And the third one that I am making a case for is adaptability quotient. So what do I really mean by adaptability quotient? If we look everything around us, everything is changing so fast. Whether if we are talking about technologies, sometimes C language was the most popular programming language. Then it became Python. Then it became Java. Then it became something else. So what I'm trying to make is, or the case I'm trying to make is, technology is going to change. It's ever changing. And the life cycle of technology is changing faster, sooner than what we expect. So for someone to be that, parrot who's going to learn every language or everything around them and be able to deliver, that's a harsh thing that we should not expect from our children. So it is not important that our children should be able to, mug up or ratify a whole bunch of facts, because that's not going to be useful. The case I'm trying to make is we should allow our children, or we should empower our children or enrich our children to be good learners. So they should have an ability to learn about something on their own. So self-learning or autodidactism is a very important skill. And how do you do that? So you have to impart discipline. And in India, we have these children who take up gazillion number of tuition classes, gazillion number of activity classes. I, for one, am not a big believer in that, because what we are trying to do there is we are trying to give them crutches for anything that they have to do. So we have to develop a tremendous ability of self-learning, self-reflection amongst our children. That is one. We have to now also develop a tremendous ability of complex problem solving in them. So complex problem solving is, when you can bring multiple worlds together and come up with a solution. So, pick something from a two-dimensional world, pick something from an electronics world, add something from the visual world, combine them together and come up with a new solution that nobody had thought through. So if our children go through that kind of a rigor as a kid, you know, adaptability, self-learning is going to be very, very easy for them. And finally, yes, passion, as I've already made a case, develop humility in them. So I think if you're able to do these 3 or 4 things, which is resilience, solving complex problems, passion, and humility, you're all set. You don't need to worry about these children then.
Absolutely, Tarun, and that's worth noting. So thank you so much for answering my questions. And I can keep going with you, and we have multiple. I can keep asking the questions from you, and the session can never end. But before we go ahead to get, I go ahead with you with more questions. We have 3 young innovators with us who are very excited to ask questions from you and share their story with us. So let's welcome them, have their questions, and then we can go ahead with the further session. So, let's welcome Krish, Nandini, and Ishika with us in the panel today. And our first speaker or the first innovator is Krish. Hello, Krish.
Hi, so I'm Krish.
Hi. Hi, Krish. So, Tarun, just to introduce Krish to everyone. Krish he's our first innovator on the panel today. For him, innovation means anything is possible. So he started building from the age of 5 and has taken a part in many competitions like Makeathon, Hackathon, and WRO, and many more. So hope is that and his journey of innovation and making never ends. That's what we hope for. So Krish, welcome to Avishkar Talks. And what is the question that you have for Tarun today? Can you just ask?
So my question is, how does one start innovating?
Fantastic, good question. Uh, I would say, what is really innovation? I mean, innovation can be thought of in many different ways, but fundamentally, to me, innovation or any avishkar is essentially solving a problem for somebody. So when you say how do we start innovation, I will go to that Hindi saying, that Hindi couplet which says "Avashakta hi avishkar ki janani hoti hai." So that means if you are able to solve someone's problem, you are able to innovate something. So when you say how do we start, the first place to look at is your own surroundings. Look at your community, look at your home, look at your mother, look at your father. What are the challenges they are facing in their lives? So if it's a challenge, and I know you have solved some of those challenges. For instance, if I remember, you had created an app to create a kind of a business app for your uncle to sell some of the dry fruit in the country. This happened during the lockdown when he did not have access to the markets. So you created a marketplace for him, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That was the fantastic way of innovating. You looked at a problem with someone who was very near and dear to you, and you tried to help them by solving that problem. So first start with your home, then start with your school, then start with your neighborhood, then go to your city, then go to your country, and then maybe solve the problem for the world. And maybe if you turn out to be Elon Musk, then you maybe build a space. You solve the problem of interplanetary existence.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tarun, for answering Krish's question. Thank you, Krish, for joining us. And second speaker or the second innovator of the day is Nandini. And to her, innovation is any creative original work. And she has tried to experiment with it and learn new types of innovation. So Nandini, welcome to the panel today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Nandini, what is the question that you have for Tarun today? What do you want to ask him?
Yeah, so my question is, do we only have to do robotics to start innovating, or is there a specific timeline to follow when we start innovating, and a specific timeline for our innovative journey?
A good question, Nandini. And in fact, a fantastic question again. So while I would like you to buy more and more robotics kits because that's what we make, I would still tell you the truth. No, innovation is not only about robotics. Innovation is about, as I said, earlier with Krish, it was about solving problems. So, for instance, if there is a problem with somebody, who lives in a village, and the problem is that it's very hot, creating a very expensive air conditioner or an automated air conditioner is not going to solve that problem. The problem could have been solved by putting some grass on the roof shed, or maybe have some good work with how the wind flows in their house. So yes, the innovation is not really in robotics only. Innovation to me is a mindset. You see a problem and you try finding a solution. That's what innovation is. So I hope I answered your question. For you, innovation could mean any other thing. It could be art and craft that you involved yourself in, or it could be design, that you do, or it could be a CAD drawing, or it could be making something with, let's say clay, mud, or any other instrument. So innovation is, again, I said, it's a mindset. Now to the second part question that you have asked, which is, where should one be in their innovative journey? So I think, that was, I really like the new education policy that Government of India has launched. They have really marked out the journey based on the age group. So for instance, I would say second to fifth, you have to focus on your foundation. So foundation literacy would mean, maybe logical thinking, maybe ability to read, maybe ability to write, maybe ability to do some calculations. Up till grade 5, that is something, you need to master. After grade 5 onwards, you can merge yourself with the rest of the world. You can learn coding, you can do robotics, you can do knitting, you can do sewing, anything that interests you. So the good part is, up till grade 5, you have to focus on foundational skills. After that, you have to find your area of passion and try to develop. If it is coding, then learn how logical coding is done. If it is robotics, then learn how to make fantastic models. If it is sewing, understand how to use different machines. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
That's awesome, Tarun. Thank you, Nandini, for joining us. So, Tarun, our innovators had a lot of questions and the interesting one. And we finally have one more innovator with us, and she's also looking to ask you a question that she has for you. And she's Ishika Thakur. She's in ninth standard, and she's studying at RPPV Sector 19, Dwarka, New Delhi. She lives in Delhi and loves to innovate and satisfy her curiosity, and she wants to solve real world problems with her innovations. That's what she aims for. So hello, Ishika.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir.
Hi. So what's your question with Tarun today?
So my question is, what qualities should a ninth standard student attempt to be a good innovator? How we can manage our studies and interests together?
Okay, so tough question, and I know I will be, I will be in trouble if I speak my mind with your parents, but I'll still go ahead and speak my mind. First of all, I would say, it depends. As Nandini had asked this question, what are the important qualities of innovation, or what really defines innovation? So to me, depending upon what you are trying to do. For instance, if you want to do well in the domain of robotics, I would suggest that, by grade 9, you should have developed a good sense of how to make mechanical design structures. You should be aware what gear systems are. You should be aware how to get, how different mechanisms or design elements work. You should be able to understand what is the role that a motor plays, what is the role that different torque motor plays, what are RPMs, what are the different mechanisms. that you could do. You could, so you can get delve deeper into robotics designs, mechanical designs. That's a very important thing that you should have learned by now. If not, you can continue to further proceed, and you will be able to learn. The second quality I would want, if you are a roboticist, or if you envision a career in robotics, is you should have some good understanding of how electronics works. How does the flow of electron can be managed using different electronic components? You should have some sense of soldering. You should understand how a breadboard works. If not, you are an expert at anything, at all these things, you should know some bit of it. And finally, you should understand some bit of coding as well. So you should be able, to write code in Avishkar Maker Studio or Arduino or normal C language of Python. That is some bare minimum things you should know. So again, I would recommend, if you are looking at a career in robotics, you should have a decent understanding, a very good understanding of mechanical designing. You should be able to understand, decode, debug, or make your own circuits, even simpler ones, even with breadboard. And finally, some bit of coding. Second question that you asked, which was a difficult one, is how do you balance between your education and your love for technology or your love for innovation? So here, I think it's a natural process. This is true for anything that we do in life. For instance, even if I work as as a founder and CEO of the company that I work in, or any other people who work with me, any job that you do will have good parts and will have bad parts. So if you don't like social studies or social sciences, but you still need to do well. So you can always enjoy the good parts if you are ready to persist or persevere through the bad parts. So whatever, let's assume if education is something that studies or getting good grades, and let's assume Hindi or Sanskrit is something that you don't like, you'll have to still do it so that you can enjoy your success in robotics or your success in coding. So you'll have to create that balance. That's how life is. So such is life, and we have to live it.
Okay, sir. Thank you for answering my doubts.
Thank you so much, Ishika, for joining us. So, Tarun, these were our three young innovators who were very much willing to ask some questions for you, and I hope we answered for them. So, before ending our session, we have some more questions coming up in the chat. The students who have joined us live, they are also trying to, ask some questions from you. So I'm just picking up those questions live, and it will be great if you can, answer them as well. So there's a question by, so I hope you're up for this.
I am.
Yeah. So there's a question by Rayan Roger. He asked that, I want to create a business by selling robots and create my own company. Any tips for me?
I would love to know how old is he. So that's important. That is the first thing I would want to ask from him. But I think the industry that he's choosing is a fantastic one. Robotics, no doubt in my mind, is the industry of future. So if you start early, you will get success early. So depending upon what industry is he planning to go for. Unfortunately, with robotics, since it's a very capital intensive, and you have three different areas that you have to master. One is electronics, second is mechanical design, construction, and the third is programming. So to build solutions in that domain, and precise and accurate solutions which can solve problems really easily, is not that simple. So one needs to have access to capital.
Right.
So that is going to be a challenge. But again, where there is a will, there's a way. So I'm happy to connect with him separately on a one-on-one session and ask him what he intends to do. And if the field is interesting, I might want to help also.
Awesome, Tarun. So, Rayan, you have this opportunity. Don't miss this. Just, try to connect with Tarun wherever possible. And you have all the social media accounts active. So, Tarun, the next question is, how can you turn an idea into an innovation?
Idea into innovation. So first of all, I believe, idea into innovation is all possible. There is a process behind it, and I think there are better people in my team, and my co-founder Pooja, who is actually more adept at answering this question. Because for me, it was always about what I like to do. But I think she approaches it more scientifically, and we'll probably ask her to do this session one time. But I think the first, as I mentioned, is you have to solve a problem. Sometimes the problem can be there in your face, where you're seeing people suffering because of it. Sometimes it could be dormant problem that exists, but nobody is crying out loud. But every time you have to solve a problem. So the idea has to solve a problem. Then the world around us has changed, where in our world it is not necessary and important that we have to come up with a solution immediately, and the solution should not be the perfect solution. So there is this concept of MVP, which is most viable product. So you have to create a most viable product. Take the solution to the people whom you are trying to solve the problem for. Let them work with it and see if 60 to 70% of them are engaging with it. They may not like your solution because your solution is half big, which is fine. But at some level, they have to engage with it. At some level, they have to say it is crappy, it is bad, it is idiotic. But I'm trying to engage with it. So if your solution comes with that kind of response in the market, and if the market is big, that is the next stage. You have to understand how big is the market. Is the solution only for your mother, or is it the solution only for your father, or for your neighbor? If that is the only market, you can do some tinkering and have fun, but that's not how you create businesses. You have to solve a problem which is big enough. So that's the next step. So I think if you identify these three things, first is what is the problem you are solving, either active or dormant. Second, create a practical solution. Third, observe how people are reacting to it. And maybe fourth, if this is a bigger market, then you can go out and change the world, as they say.
That's awesome, Tarun. I hope the child got the answer. Guys, all those who are watching us live, we have only few minutes left, and I can take only 2 more questions. So if you have something more, just type in quickly so that I can pick up your question and throw it to Tarun to answer. One of them I already have. So Tarun, the next question for you is, how can one shape a future in STEM field? What are the different career opportunities? This question is by Ashutosh Singh.
So different career opportunities in STEM. Fantastic.
STEM.
I would actually tell you, all the career opportunities in STEM, or all the career opportunities in the future, are STEM based only now. 95% of things that people will be doing will have some instance of STEM. So it doesn't matter whether you end up becoming a roboticist, or you end up becoming a programmer, or you end up becoming an electronic circuit designer. Any aspect of life that you involve with, whether it is fashion designing, or it is customer service, or it is banking, or it is running a restaurant, you will find technologies in application there. So if you're a fashion designer, knowing CAD CAM or some sort of designing software will be extremely important for you, even though you are not the person behind making the that particular fashion design that you're trying to make. Or if you're a restaurant owner, robots serving food is the next big thing in. Robots making food is the next big thing in. So can you program them? Can you make them operational in your neighborhood? It is important. So that ways, I would say, there are only two kinds of people, especially from a professional sense, that will exist. One, who are making technology, producing technology. Second, who are consuming technology, or learning or consuming technology. So now the choice is yours, which size you want to be. I would like to make a case that it is better to be a maker than a consumer.
That's, thank you, Tarun, for answering our next question also. I hope Ashutosh, your answer is your question is answered, and you have this, you understand how this how STEM is affecting the future jobs and the future of the world basically. So okay, Tarun, we can go ahead and we can, here's the last question for today's session. That the question for you is there any innovation strategy one should create and how do he should create one? So innovation strategy.
Okay, so I think Neha, this one I would go back to the question about running, rather the journey of idea to innovation. I think that is the only strategy.
Right.
Understand your market well. Try to understand what you are trying to build, whose problem you are trying to solve. Come up with a prototypical solution, which can be a kind of an MVP or most viable solution, and then test it out with whoever your audience is. And this keep on doing this process again and again and again till you become perfected, or till the time you're perfected to your solution. I hope this answers your question.
Absolutely, and that was that was fantastic. So Tarun, we are about to the time is about to get over. So thank you so much for this fascinating session. I hope our viewers also enjoyed and learned a lot of things. I myself is taking a lot of notes with me and will definitely try to apply wherever I can as a parent or as a designer. So to sum up the entire discussion with you, I have we can I have 3 points that children can make note of. Maybe what I did is especially for the parents and the educators in the out there. So basically first one is to resilient. That is one point that Tarun has talked about. So it's about next is we have to give freedom to our children. So basically when we grow, when we learn, it's important for them to fall and fail, and then only it will definitely allow them to succeed and to learn. So that is another point that he talks about. Third one is allow them to develop a passion and love for innovation and whatever they're doing. So the three main words that he talked about during his discussion, this talk, was love, challenge and freedom. And I hope we try to implement this as we go ahead in our lives and in the career. So and the last thing that is important to note is adaptability quotient, that to enrich the students, our kids, to be good learners and allow them to adapt things as much as they can. So Tarun, anything else that you would want to add to this, or you want to say to our innovators and creators of tomorrow to motivate them a little more?
No, I think I've spoken enough. I would say stay hungry, stay foolish, keep innovating.
Awesome, Tarun. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for finding time to join Avishkar Talks live with us. We will be back next month again with another fantastic speaker and a change maker. Till then, my suggestion is to keep innovating, keep building, and keep safe, everyone. I think bye and take care till then.